Alright, so today's a great day for an install video. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the kit from zAutomotive.com, which you check out my unboxing video, you can see all the details on it. We're going to be pulling out the 8.4-inch screen, and we're going to be inserting these pins into the connector, which will allow us 2 additional video inputs and 1 audio input. They were nice enough to include the tools that we need to top off the dash trim panel, and we're going to go and get started on that right now. The first thing I want to do is I want to remove my Pro Clip. If you haven't seen that, check out this install video. This thing has been amazing. It's pretty simple to pull out. You just need to pop that out and then pull that out. The thing has been rock solid. It's been sitting in here for a while now. I'm going to be putting that back in as soon as we're done. A couple things before we go into detail. You want to move your seat back a little bit. You're going to want to drop down the steering wheel. Give yourself some room to work. Let's see, is this a good spot to work on? There we go. You just want to get your fingers in there. I don't like using tools. I don't want to leave any lasting impressions of on the dashboard. Again, these are all pop clips. They pop out relatively easy, but you got to use a decent amount of force to get them going. There we go. Plates off, so you have all these orange clips. One really important piece of advice: when you take these clips off, they sometimes move forward a little bit, so you don't want to get rattle in your dashboard. So when you take these off, the first thing you should do is push each one of these clips down hard, because if any of them have shifted forward, most of the time they push back. When you stick them in, but you want to make sure each and every one of these clips is there, because you'll see now here I'm missing 2 clips, and those clips are down in there, so I'm going to have to go and retrieve those. And let me just double check. Yes, I'm only missing 2 of them, and these are the 2 that are here and here, so I'm going to have to go fish those out before we're done here. So let's go put this in a nice safe spot in the back seat. Alright, Phillips head screwdriver to take this out. You might want to take 1 second to just kind of clean the screen there, you know, because it's all about keeping your car clean. Carefully remove the screen, and there goes that orange clip. It just fell down behind the dash. I'll have to find that later. Just so you don't do any scratching, I'm going to put a microfiber down there, and we're going to unplug everything here so we can take this thing out. Alright, so we've got the purplish connector plugged into a purple socket. We've got a yellow connector plugged into a greenish socket. We've got a white connector plugged into a white socket. We've got a gray connector plugged into a gray socket. Alright, so now for this one, you're going to want to lift this latch up. And you have to push it in, lift it up, and slide it out. So we're going to take this out of the way now. We're going to put it again someplace safe in the back seat. So this connector right here is the one we're going to be working with. I'm going to zoom in on that in a second. I just want to take a moment to go in and find all those clips that we dropped. Alright, so back to the task at hand. We're going to want to go to zAutomotive.com and pull up the instructions. Alright, so you go bring up the TaZer, turn up the brightness, the radio kit, instructions for AV kit. Okay, so we've got the dashboard uninstalled, we've got the clip removed. So we're at the part here where we're going to be prying off or prying up. I'm hoping you guys can see this. There we go. We're at the part here. We're going to be prying up the little red retainer around it. Alright, now we'll flip this back over again and we will find out where we're sticking all these things. Okay, so we've got the audio and video connector layouts. So we're basically dealing with, I'm actually going to put an image on the screen, it'll probably be easier. But you're dealing with it in this direction. You got the big connectors on top, you got the little connectors on the bottom. This upper right corner here is where the audio connectors go, and the second row here is where the video goes. Okay, his instructions are very detailed, so I'm going to follow them to a T. Okay, I'm going to grab the yellow connector, because that's what we're talking about here, the yellow connector. All right, and so this pin has two sides to it, and I hope you can see that on camera. We've got the flat side where it's basically the flat back of it. Then we have the side where the clamp wraps around the wire and the wire is clamped in place or crimped in place. Okay, so the flat side, this back side here, okay, is what goes up against the plastic pieces inside here. So in other words, if you picture this connector, and I'll show it on screen using his image, you have two rows of connectors in here, and those two rows have a center splitter. So you're going to want to put the back of this connector, the flat side, up against that center divider. So let's pop that open again. All right, and then we're going to start at the bottom of the second row, and we are going to insert at the bottom. We're going to put the yellow one in, and again we're going to put the back up against there. We're going to slide that one right in. I'm going to confirm before I lock it in place. Yellow one goes on the bottom, and you feel it click into place. It's actual audible click that you feel and hear. Okay, another one, same thing, back up against the thing there. Shove that in, wait for the click. There's your click. Now we have the yellow connector done. Okay, so now we're going to move on. The next one's going to be the red one. That's the aux 1. And I apologize for all the wildlife in here. Unfortunately, I can't do much about it. I'm going to go back up to the top. Now, it's very important to note that we are skipping one space inside this harness. We're skipping the next one, and we're moving on to the next two pins, which are 24 and 25. Okay, so again, we've got the red one. Okay, we're skipping. We're still working in the same row over here. We're skipping one. Don't forget, we have the flat back side goes up against the divider, and we're starting with the yellow connector, inserting and listening for the click. There we go. And then we do the black connector, insert and listen for the click. There we go. So now we've installed the second AV connector, which is the aux 1. All right, so now we are on the audio, the RCAs. Okay, so now the audio's going up in this top corner up here, and again, it's two rows. I'll show you his image on screen. It's two rows, and you're going to be inserting those with the flat section there up against the center divider between the two rows of connectors. It's going to be red, black, and white, all in order. Let's just confirm from the top image. Yep. Red, black, and white, all in order. So we'll insert the red, the black, and the white. Remember to keep the flat side up against the center divider. So red. No audible click there. Something's up. Let me go and rearrange my view here. Just double check. Yeah, everything looks about right. Oh, there we go. Red, then black, and then white. And it looks like this connector, a little bit of these wires might be in your way when you do the white one. You're just going to want to gently move those out of the way. I'm really hoping I got a good angle here. I think I'm blocking my top camera with my head. The white one's going to be a little bit annoying to put in just because the other wire's in the way. There we go. So red, black, and white. It's got a nice bundle of cables here. We're done. That's it. That's it for this wiring job. There we go. Red, black. I'm sorry. 2 blacks. These are the audios. And then we have the... I don't know what I'm going to plug the audio into. I'm just going to leave them hanging down the side over here for now. That's pretty easy. Alright, so now we're going to flip this over and we're going to push this connector back together. Now, I feel it's very important to know I wasn't careful when I popped this off. And using a flathead screwdriver, you should insert that flathead screwdriver right into the center here. What I did is I came in from the side and I wound up cracking it. So if you're starting to pry from over here, it's not a good idea. You're going to want to pry from right here. Although when I cracked this section here, it didn't seem like it had any lasting effects. I mean, I was able to snap this back in. It doesn't seem to be, well, it's actually a little loose there, yeah. But when I jam it back into the radio, we should be good. If not, I'll see if I can find another part somewhere. But, I mean, this feels flush. It seems fine. Alright, and these cables, just give them a little tug to make sure they're not going to fall out on you. So just give them a pull, make sure each one of them is in securely. Alright. Okay, so that looks good. And then last but not least, hopefully my overhead camera captures this, but you're going to want to route, so there's this cutout right here, you're going to want to route underneath it and off to the side so you can bring these cables over. And we're going to leave this all apart for now so we can snap some photos for Instagram, right? Because that's very important. Yeah, it's very important to make your car appear clean when you're taking photos, right? There we go. Beautiful. We'll go ahead and post that later. I'm going to keep going on this. Alright, so you're probably going to want to test everything before you put it all back together, right? So I've got some cameras here. Let me just adjust my focus and we'll get back on that real quick. Alright, so I picked up some cameras on Amazon and I do not know how good these cameras are going to be. So I don't want to promote them yet, but I want you to understand there's a couple different types of cameras. And this specific type of camera, and you know what, I will put a link to it, but you know, like I said, I don't know how this is going to work out, so you know, don't buy it based on just my recommendation. Until what I'll do is I'll put an overlay. If these cameras are great, I'll do another video on these cameras, but I'll put something right here somewhere in this video to say that I approve of these cameras. So anyway, these cameras, the cool part about them is they come with 2 additional wires here. And each one of them, cutting each one of these, changes the aspect of this camera. So first thing is, these are made for reverse cameras. So if you when you buy cameras, you're going to want to buy the appropriate camera for the application. So if it's a reverse camera, the image is actually reversed and it may have those guidelines. You want to buy a camera, so say this camera, which is going to go in the front of my car, I don't want the image reversed, so we're going to cut one wire to stop the reverse image. And then I don't want the guidelines either, so we have the ability to cut the second wire to get rid of the guidelines. So you're going to want a camera with some flexibility, and this camera provided that, so that's why I bought it. It's also really low profile. It snaps into, you know, it comes with its own hole saw, and you drill a little hole in the car, and then you snap this bad boy in, and then you use an adjustment tool to adjust the image and however you want. So again, don't know how it's going to work, but you know, hey, we're going to give it a shot. It's important to note that where I'm sticking my hand right now, there's a lot of sharp metal pieces, so you're definitely going to want to be a little on the careful side. Can we get in there through the glove box? Nope. Alright, so we're going to take a quick pause. I'm going to use a wire snake, get these wired in. I'm also going to find a power source for these two that's auxiliary, and then we'll come back to this video in a few. So what I've done is I've snaked the wires through down by the bottom of the glove box. I've plugged in the auxiliary 1 and the CD-DVD connector. So this camera came with power connectors at the radio or at the jack. We don't need those, so I'm going to tape them off. Let's tape these off. I hate using electrical tape in cars because it gets all gooey, but it's the best bet because everything else just falls apart. So. Alright, so one of the other things I want to do is I want to tape in a strain relief. And that's so I don't unplug these accidentally later on. So I'm going to give a little bit of a, give a little bit of a loop here. Just make sure you guys can see that. And then I'm going to tape this off, so in case I tug on these wires while installing cameras and such, they don't actually come unplugged, then I got to rip the whole dashboard out again. Alright, so that's done. We can slide these guys back down in behind the harness there. And the whole installation of the audio and video kit is done. I don't have any audio to plug in, so I'm just going to leave those guys dangling for now. Flip up this latch again. There we go. And we're going to do the reverse and plug everything back in. So let me back the camera out a little bit. Alright, now that everything's connected, got the wires tucked back down here in the center between the radio cutout. Got all of our pieces here. We've got the connector snapped back into place. We're going to go ahead and put the radio back in. Very carefully, of course. Do the bottom section first. Fortunately, I can do this at an angle where you guys can see. There we go. There we go. Okay, that locks into place. Back to the white in the white. Lock into place. Yellow and the olive colored green connector, and the dark purple in the dark purple connector. In my particular car, the light pink connector is unplugged. We've got the USB, which is the gray connector, all in there. Nice. We've got the wires all set. We're going to gently slide this back into place. Line it up with the screw holes. And screw it back in. Hopefully I don't lose anything else back there. I had a really good time playing with the endoscope, and I was able to see the clip that I needed, but I wasn't able to get it because I don't know, I just wasn't that good with an endoscope, I guess. So I'm gonna let that one sit down there and rot. I even took out the center panel, or the center console, and unfortunately the areas I need to get to are not accessible without removing the entire console. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is. So I'm going to leave it out. If it rattles, I'm going to place an order and get probably a 20 pack of them, and then I'll pop this out again and fix it. I just think it wasn't worth the time. It was cool to play at the endoscope though, but it's like playing a video game where the controller keeps rotating in your hands and you don't know where you're oriented. So we've got everything plugged back together again. We've got all the connections plugged in. I do need to find power for the cameras. I'm going to pause for a second and get some power on the cameras, and then we'll go down to the next step. Don't mind the shake. I got it balanced on the hub. So I taped the cameras in place just to get an idea of what I want to look at. Alright, give it a couple seconds to do its connectivity thing. Alright, double tap. Oh, there we go. Wait till everything boots. Now let's try it. Double tap. That's the reverse camera. Double tap. That is my, I gotta line it up, but that's basically my front camera. We'll head out to the front of the car. Alright, yeah, I'll tinker with that. So it's reversed. I gotta cut the line to remove these, and I gotta cut the line that reverses the camera. Now we're gonna go to the cool one. Alright, so this didn't work as planned. Alright, so we're good on the front cam, but the rim camera really doesn't work out too well. So I'll figure out another location for the second camera, but double tap, back to normal, double tap, reverse camera, trunk's open, that's why it's pointing to the sky, double tap, boom, front camera. So I like the front camera. I want to make the adjustments to the camera now. I'm going to cut the lines. Look at that. Now we're looking at it right. But that's it. Looks like we got a nice camera solution going. Too bad my rim cam's not going to work. I was hoping to get a nice view of the rims as I was trying to pull into a parking spot. Who knows, maybe a better camera with a wider angle might work better for me. Well, we'll figure that out in another video. Alright, so once you've tested everything out, it's time to put everything back together. So we've already screwed in the radio. So a couple things to note. Sides of your vents all have clips in them. You want to make sure each one of those clips is firmly seated. Okay, so I had, I think I popped out, yep, I popped out the one on this side. There we go, snap that vent in, make sure your vents, again, all of these clips all the way around your vents, make sure they're firmly seated. If you're like me and like to make sure everything's clean, feel free to go and wipe out all the edges you can't reach. When this is assembled, go ahead and wipe out the edges around your display. Make sure to use a very soft microfiber towel so you don't scratch everything. Okay, and when you're done with that, you can go ahead and clean the seams of the dashboard if you want. Again, I show this car a lot, so having dust in areas is never a good thing. And some of the judges at some of the shows actually get into your car and check. You'll notice from one of my other videos, my pedals are spotless. The judges actually get into your car and they look around and they check your freaking pedals to make sure they're clean. It's kind of ridiculous. Okay, I wonder if I could pull the steering wheel out a little bit. Oh, look at that. It's easier to do if you telescope your steering wheel out and down. Let's see if we can get that in easier. Look at that. Piece of cake. Alright, so line all your clips up. Make sure everything is good to go. Before you put this on, I just want to remind you, test everything, because this obviously is a pain in the butt to get off. So make sure you test everything, make sure everything works the way you want it. Then let's put this all back together again. Once all the clips are in, work your way around one last time to make sure everything's seated well. And if you're working on somebody else's car, it's always a good idea to put everything back to the way it was, you know, because you don't want to do all this awesome work and then have them get in the car and not be able to drive it because their seat's all the way back and their steering wheel's all the way out of the way. Cameras have been disconnected. I have them rolled up in the glove box for now. I'm gonna do an install. I gotta run the power wires, get through the firewall, and I'm kind of out of time for today. But this is just to show you how simple it is to pop everything out, plug everything in, and what some of the applications are. So I'm gonna do a lot of cut videos in this one. But listen, if this helped you out in any way, please drop a like. And I've got a whole bunch more TaZer videos and a bunch of other content coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.